Good morning. Welcome to OptionsTender. It is Monday, January 6, 2025. Welcome, everybody. Just want to give a reminder of where we are in the market and what might be happening. I do believe that this move will turn around tomorrow. And I have a reason for that. And then I'll show you if you're a bull, what you're looking for. And then if you're a bear like me, exactly where price is going at this point and how we can kind of lay this out structure wise as well. So we're going to go through SPX on, I want to show you the McClellan summation index, and then we'll go over to SPY, and I want to clear something up with Nvidia and SMH. So we talked about those breaking out either direction, and it did. It certainly broke out to the upside. I was not in that camp, but I do have a target of where things might turn around. Okay, so let's jump into it. We are doing this intraday, 11:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested in getting these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube supporter. It's 99 cents, comes with the Discord and trade alerts. We added on to our QQQ puts today in the Discord, so check it out. Here we go. We have SPX on the monthly. This is just a reminder of where we are at. 29 top here, 1929 that is. 29 top there, 2000 top, and we're forming a top here. And I said, yeah, 2000 and then 2024. Okay, so that's just a reminder there. Let's go down to the daily. And so what's happening here? The thing is, we still have buyers. We still have some euphoria. We have people that think that the market is going to 7,000 this week. You know, I have that in my comments. So I don't really believe that those people think that in particular, but the certain sarcasm that the market is going up. Sure, here's the 2000 top from here. The purple is the one that we're looking at, and then we have a channel top trend line from 2021 back here, the 21 top going into 22, and then 2008 is where this lines up. And so sure, you know, this price action surely could go test those trend lines again, and then we'll just, you know, short the market again. But this is definitely an objective short in the long run. I think that we're going to get a lower high. I think we are starting a downtrend. We already back tested the breakdown, and what we're doing is we're just chopping sideways for more information that could be going into the employment situation. It could turn around tomorrow, and I think tomorrow has a beautiful setup going into it. And what I think is happening, and we have a down trend line here that we can draw. And we could test the top of that if price wants to go a little bit higher, and then start triangulating throughout and maybe break down by Friday. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I do want to watch out that first of all, here's our breakout. I think that's the next zone that we go to. We talk about it over and over. That's a 565 on SPY. And I'll show you again on SPY. And so I think this is the next level. And then we have this trend line from the lows here back at from 2022 into 2023, November, October, somewhere around there. And we have the touch there. It's not a very strong trend line. You just have 2 points here, but I still suppose it will give us a pause that will have some sort of equilibrium in here. We break down, we get to this level, and then we probably back test this as well. So it's a real choppy progression here for this downtrend, but that's because we have so many buyers against sellers at this point. And then as things lay themselves out, just like when price goes up, they start to unfold, and momentum will start heading to the downside before getting a much larger bounce again. Okay, so that's kind of the layout I'm looking for. I want to show the McClellan summation index and show you we are in a downtrend. We're in the bearish territory here We're in a downtrend, very similar to here. We're not in extreme areas. We're getting slight bounces, but nothing extreme. The bounces are so shallow. They seem so steep when it happens in price, but you don't get any confirmation. We're in a downtrend. We're in a downtrend here. I do suspect that by the time this move is over, that we'll be in this extreme bear situation. And not only that, we'll probably have some sort of positive divergence at some point in this extreme bear area that I have marked up here. And at that point, I think we'll probably be to the lows in this section here that we talk about so much, but around 5,200. There's a big zone there. You see some former highs here, resistance, support, and support throughout this zone. So somewhere around 5,200. And that would be a natural spot for this wedge to break down, backtest, and to test the bottom of the wedge. That would be a natural correction there. Now, do we get new highs from that point? I don't think so, but when we get down to these levels, I do think we'll get a nice big bounce at that point. So that's the real important thing I want to show on SPX, and then I'll travel over to SPY. Okay, we're looking at SPY on the weekly time frame. We're back above that 8 EMA, so we'll see if price action holds at this point. Again, we're at this downtrend position. If we get above that downtrend, I certainly think we'll touch these this trend line up above and make possibly a slightly higher high here before heading lower. In that point, we'll create another divergence if that's the case. And again, I'm not looking at that, but if it does, I can't predict what's happening here. I can only, show probability and setups. And so that will be another setup if price does get up there. Okay. I took some losses certainly on this gap up. But I'm holding on to those puts because when this turns around, it's going to be pretty nasty. We're going to have some big moves. So looking into, by the way, this is super important, the 20-week moving average. So I think we'll break that next time that we come down to it. Let's move over to the Elliott wave picture. Now we're looking for this cluster in the beginning to mid February. So I don't know where price will be at that time. When price is at that level, this is a pretty big cluster. Again, we have another one after that. So this is a great area to watch out for into this cluster. I think we'll be lower at this point and looking for that major bounce at that time. And I think the 127, 515 will be the bottom of that zone. And that's right at the bottom of this wedge that we're talking about. And so this was a very important resistance zone that became support. And I think that we'll try to test that zone coming into the mid-February price action. But we do have to start moving the opposite way fairly soon. That's about a little over a month between the middle and end of this cluster. It's a little over a month away. And so on the weekly time frame, we should have some nice red bars here if this is the case. We're running out of time for that one. So on the daily time frame, looking at the traditional technical analysis, we have the bearish rising wedge, broke down from the wedge, back tested perfectly, and we're just kind of drawing out a downtrend line. If we just line it up with the top of that triangle, I think that price could get up to that point, which would be a little bit higher. And that would make sense because I'll show you on SMH that the market has a little bit higher for SMH to go to. So we're getting above this 20 moving average, which is starting to curl down. I do think that we'll get back under there. Just like when price is going on top of the trend, it oscillates through it. So price got underneath it and recaptured it. Underneath, recaptured, use it again. It's a trend indicator. I think this will pop up above either intraday or tomorrow. We'll start to break down from that point. But if you want to be bullish, great. You have the 8 EMA underneath you. Momentum is starting to curl up. Do your thing. It's not my thing. This does look like an impulse wave, and I'll show you on the lower time frames what to look for on that. We still have the setup here. We're at, here's the left shoulder head, and I think we're just still forming the right shoulder here. That one was a possible setup with the right shoulder, but now we can just consider that one move there, and now a bounce here, and we're almost to that level as well. So I can draw that in there. Here's the top of the head. We're almost to that point right now. Now looking at time and price, this is where I get the lower time frame. We have tomorrow 1-7. We have a cluster here. Okay, so I do think with this bounce that will be a high. We could gap up. We could have some sort of topping candle tomorrow where price action doesn't do a whole lot. Doesn't mean, price is just going to fall out of the sky. It just means tomorrow that we might get a reversal indicator. We might reverse, down. We'll see. We'll see what, comes our way, what price gives us. But not bullish in any sense. We're making lower highs and lower lows. We have market structure to the downside, and now we need to see this possibly get a lower high from this point. All right, we start getting a higher high from this point here, and that doesn't change that this could be a flat pattern, but it starts to kind of break that lower high and lower low pattern to where it starts to fix market structure a little bit and make it a lot more neutral at that point. If we get above, I would consider that neutral above this point here. We still would have a lower high above here. And you say, when do you change your mind? When do you get bullish at that point? Do you go long up here? No, I think, time's running out, and I'll wait until price gets back above here to add on any positions unless I see something else happening with the other markets. But I certainly won't add on to any more. I had a price on the Qs that I liked, and I started shorting that again today. But SPY, I won't add on anything else. We have plenty of shorts going into the 30th. And so if we get a new high above here, then we'll start adding some shorts into February at that point, because we do have time and price in February, and I think that will be a low at that point. All right, so we're looking for a high tomorrow. Let's go to the 65. Here's the traditional look once again. And we're kind of seeing that little downtrend line. It can come all the way up to here as well if we extend this out. Not worried about where it's happening now. We can kind of have a couple different guesses with Fibonacci's. It really kind of depends if this is a first move here, and then if this is some sort of running flat, then that would be a 1, and then a running flat for a 2. And the reason why I'm looking at these situations, I think this is a B wave right here. If this is the end of the move, then we're looking at a flat pattern here, a expanding flat where this is an A, B, and then a C here where you get your impulse wave at that C. Okay, so either way that you look at it at this point, if that's an A, B, C for running flat, we're into resistance right here already. That's an impulse move. So this would be the end of this correction here. Okay, and so now this is where we talk about the bulls. Bulls are looking for this being the end of the correction of an A, B, C, and now you're looking for an impulse wave 1, and you're looking for some sort of correction, whether it's a deep zigzag, which is typical for a wave 2, then you'd be looking to buy the dip on this next move, possibly correcting down in a turnaround Tuesday. No matter what, if you're a bull or bear, I am looking for prices to at minimum correct. If you're a bull, again, you'll buy the dip, and we should see a wave 3 headed higher. Okay. So we'll kind of look to see how price action dips. If it continues lower, we'll see. But I think there's going to be some sort of equilibrium because, again, there's buyers and sellers fighting. And even if you're a bear, now that this possible next move is done, you'll want to see probably a new structure going 1, 2, might test the lows, an impulse 1, and then a pullback for 2. So it's going to look the same. Either way, it's going to look the same. We're going to form this equilibrium. I can already start. I'll just draw it now so we can start to draw some sort of triangle. I'm not going to place them anywhere, but we see this trend line below us here as well. And so we'll consider this our equilibrium point here. We'll see what price action does at that point. And if we want to count this on the bearish side, wrong one. Let's go to the hourly. Okay, so on the bear side, I'm still looking for this in the yellow to be a 1 and then a 2. Whether you count this to be a 2 here or here, it doesn't really matter. The same results are going to happen. I think wave 3 comes down to about the 656 all the way to the 565 all the way to the 555 zone. I think we get down to this zone. And these are all made up of 3 waves. So this is an ABC for a 1. I think this is an ABC for a 2. And it could be, like I said, that running flat for a 2 here. And that would kind of match QQQ. If we wanted these to be nice and neat and match, then that would be the way they count it. But on the same note, it doesn't really matter to me. This could be a wave 2. And then part of wave 3 would be this an A, a B, and then you get the C wave impulse into wave 3, that zone, and you still get 4 and 5. So really, however you count it, it's all speculative. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion. But we're going to have trouble here in the 600, 599 area. That's also resistance, support, and then resistance, okay? And now, again, we have this cluster going into tomorrow. Here's the 1-7 cluster going to turn around Tuesday. I love it when the hourly lines up with the daily, and especially when it comes into the weekly time zone as well. So great setup here for a reversal, and we'll see where price goes from there. I'll have to adjust some of these things here. If we have a 1-2 and that's the 2, then this remains the wave 3 target. Such a deep retracement here for that to be an AB. So looking at QQQ, which looks more like an impulse move on this first wave here, that looks like a wave 1, 5-wave move down, and we're getting an A. Either this a 1-2, 1-2, and that's much more bearish, or this just a 1, A, B, C running flat, which I think is more likely for this one. And that would match, again, very pretty with SPY. And we're coming right back to tag that. Look at that. Right with the options expected move, right with the back test of this trend line. I think this move is done. I think it'll hang out here for the close, and then we'll, might pull back a little bit. But whatever the case is, maybe we get our reversal candle today. I don't know. Whatever the case is, I think price is pretty exhausted at this point, and this is the C wave being an impulse wave. And if you're a bull, this was a correction, and you're looking for some sort of 1-2 setup and going higher. Okay, I'm not in that case. I'm not in that mind frame. And then I already marked up the targets here where I think price is going to go next. So this should be a nice clean 5-wave move down for a wave 3. Okay, and again, if this is a 1-2, 1-2, then we'll, that just settles out at the end where the 4-5s come in, if there's 4-5, 4-5. Otherwise, this is a big time wasting correction. And then you might get wave 4 to be sharp and small and quick. So that's what we'll look up for, but we'll talk about that in the end. And this is where I think price is going to this range here for a wave 3. And that's because of the measured move that we have here. So we're getting rejection off of the 62% retracement from wave 1. So if that's truly the wave 1, then wave 2 is it's just a 1-2 setup where you have the A, B, excuse me. I think this, I was playing around with the numbers, 1, 2, 1, 2. I think it's more likely that this is a 1 and then an A, B, C running flat into a wave 2, right into the 62% retracement. That's why I went short on the Qs today. I think this is a 1-2 setup, and we're getting wave 3 down here at about 482 would be, 66 would be about the range here, and you have good resistance. You have a triangle where price action is in here, so you have a volume node, and then you have support here as well. So I think this would be a nice area to take off some profit going into the rest of the week, into next week. All right, and then I want to clear up something with SMH and Nvidia. All right, so let's move over to SMH. I think the daily time frame would be a little bit more appropriate. We do have the gap up here. I'm not sure what some Elliott wave count is going on here. It's very, very choppy. But the fact is we had price action coiling up here, and we had a big breakout. Now, where does this go from here? We go to the Elliott wave picture. I think it's a lot easier just say this is some sort of B wave. If this is an A correction, you get the B, and then we're pricing out into a C. So you might get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish it off here. If this truly is a 1, then we're looking for a 2 into probably the 786 retracement of this entire move. So that's exactly at 265.40 where price should get to next, now that it broke the high up here. Okay, so that might happen going into tomorrow, and then we possibly get a rejection somewhere off of there. We'll see what happens. Maybe we consolidate here, and then later on go up higher. We do have Tesla kind of balancing this action out here. A lot more negative than everybody else here, but let's go to Nvidia. And Nvidia, the only thing really want to show here and clarify. So price action's back above this wedge here. Now, if it does get a new high, it really doesn't matter. So what we're talking about in the Discord is this was possibly an ABC correction, and maybe this was possibly a 1, 2, 3, 4, or this has to be an ending diagonal then, because you're getting 4 crossing 1, and then a new high here and they were talking about a 5-wave move here. So that means you had a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, some sort of awkward look there, but it looks more like a B wave where it's a ABC correction to me. And the only difference between that is either way, you're going to get an impulse move to the downside. Okay, so it's going to look the same. If you eke out a new high here, that could just be the high and you get an impulse, that's a wave 1. But in either way, I think we're to go test this 120 zone, 118 down here at the 200-day moving average. So that's our target no matter what. And going into the next 2 weeks or so, a couple weeks, 3 weeks. Or even into February, those lows that we're looking at the market. But so the whole point is if this is an A, B, and a C, that means that's a corrective wave, and it's one of two things at that point, to where it's a larger A, and then we get a lower high for B, and then we get a C for a much lower, much bigger ABC correction. And I think that's very possible because that's how the market's kind of looking. But I want to acknowledge the fact that I think Nvidia is much more bullish than the rest of the market. And so it has market structure that needs to play out. We're not going to look at all that in the big picture, but if we get a nice large correction, that could be some sort of wave 4 correction or so. And maybe we'll look for flat patterns, something sideways while the market plays out its recession at that. And I think ultimately Nvidia is just going to be much more bullish than the market overall. And so do we see lower prices? Yeah, I do think so. It could be into the 70s. It could be 80s. And it seems, like such a low price. But ultimately, I think Nvidia makes, much, much higher prices. And as the market starts to, regain some footing after a big corrective move. Now, this could be a big recession. It could be a sideways. But I'm not, in the long run, I'm not negative. I'm not bearish on Nvidia overall, but it does need to correct with the market. If this Nvidia holds up, then the market's going to hold up ultimately. So there you have it. So right now, I think we're just looking for an ABC, and to a larger degree, A. Get a bounce, and then much lower at that point. Sorry, the arrow is kind of pointing down to the 40s. I don't really think that's the case. Okay, so if it is a high, it really doesn't matter. It's going to be a divergent high, and maybe we look for a zigzag at that point. So we're going to correct either way. I thought it would have gone lower from this point, but we're testing the highs. Now you can consider this a double top. Okay. So we covered those, and just the VIX here. The VIX is in an important zone where we're looking for a low. So we're right into support here. We have at about the 15, 16 area. Also this downtrend line. We're at the 200 moving average. I'm looking for a turnaround coming up here soon. That's all there is to it. On the 65, we have this uptrend line. We have the 200 moving average. We're getting oversold. A lot of things happening here. Let's just see what this plays out going into tomorrow. I do think this goes much higher. I think we break these highs. I even think ultimately we break these highs up here in the 50s. Okay, so that's what I got for you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day.